Shamari Carter, the executive director of ACCUR. ACCUR is a 65-year-old organization here in Oakland. We are a community development organization. We have 3 pillars: civic engagement, where it's centered around organizing and direct advocacy; education and technical assistance, so a technology education program. We have a technology center where we teach basic and emerging technology to youth and basic and technology to Spanish speakers and seniors. Our technical assistance programs are faith-based and nonprofit capacity building, and small business technical assistance programs. And then our economic development has been centered around that business development, but also some real estate development, just acquisition and development and policy around real estate development. A lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot of people turned to entrepreneurship. We've been raising funds to seed new entrepreneurs. And what we noticed is between the PPP loans and all of the other services and loans that are out there, it's nothing really to see new entrepreneurs. And, people have had to turn to entrepreneurship just to survive, just as a survival technique. I think that's the hardest part, is that constant communication between government and organizations that do economic development and actual businesses. I mean, having that conversation with all of the stakeholders constantly. So, I mean, like, that's always a difficulty in itself.
My name is Elliot Balch. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Central Valley Community Foundation, or CVCF. And we, like about 1,000 organizations across the country, are a community foundation, which historically has meant that we are almost like a bank. We help people manage philanthropic capital and make grants, often small grants that donors are motivated to make to different causes in the community. We are a financial institution. We make hundreds, thousands of grants and scholarships every year, very transaction heavy. And then also, but by virtue of doing that, we've got relationships with a lot of partners. We've launched an initiative called DRIVE, which is developing the region's inclusive and vibrant economy, pulling in some government partners, a lot of nonprofits, some business partners, but looking at a broad range of initiatives around economic development, human capital, and neighborhood-based development. And then we are, at the same time as those specific investment plans, those initiatives are being developed by work groups, we're also using DRIVE as an opportunity to highlight the role of race in racial inequities in access to opportunity in our economy. And so we're learning and developing muscles as a community that will outlast and exceed just the individual initiatives of the DRIVE investment plan. So I guess the one takeaway for local governments, whether it is a local government or a non-government partner like us, somebody needs to convene the conversation and have an honest conversation. Another thing that is coming out of the work that we're doing, flowing from that kind of sense making that we've done, is that you've got to be targeted and specific. So if you find, like in Fresno, for example, that you have an unemployment rate among your Black population of 23%, and you say that you're going to create a program for people of color to have more opportunity, well, it's easy for people of color as a broad category to miss actually the pockets of deepest need. And so you really have to get specific in the strategy and in the outcomes that you expect to measure. We're going to have this number change in the Black community as a result, and being specific like that can be uncomfortable. We're maybe not used to that, and part of that's why we use terms like communities of color, but being clear from the outset helps drive everyone towards the goals and what success really, looks like. Talking about like specific problems and specific outcomes, and not being afraid to name the problem and be specific in the desired outcome in terms of like racial groups or other groups that are most challenged? Well, here's the other side of that coin, is that there can be social capital, there can be cultural references, there can be assets to draw on that are different in each community. And so, just having a program that's for all disadvantaged or for all people of color or for all, these multi-category things, they miss the assets which exist, the cultural reference points. We've had a very intentional focus on human capital. So our education and higher education partners, I'm optimistic that as this initiative, this big drive initiative, which is hundreds of people in our community working together, as it is pushing now into kind of a second year of work, and as we have a change in administration in Fresno, there's a lot of really positive signs, conversations that are happening about how they are part of this in a more integral way. It's not any particular jurisdiction's fault. This is kind of how the public sector is. There are a lot of, there are a lot of tools that come with being in the public sector, a lot of responsibility, ability to convene people and marshal attention to solution, and obviously more funding streams than come through the philanthropic sector. But there are limitations on all that too. Terms that cycle out, term limits, the requirement in the public sector to address day-to-day needs that come up. There's a heavy operational load, as any city leader would know, or county leader. And it doesn't always give you license to even use 5% of what you've got your resources to do long-range planning. And of course, your charter kind of focuses you on one jurisdiction, and we all know those jurisdictional lines don't always follow logical groupings, and certainly don't always follow labor markets, which are the entity of interest in economic development work, right? So as a nonprofit partner that has a regional mission, we can counterbalance some of those things. We can't do it alone because we don't have a lot of those tools, but we do have the ability to set an agenda that survives terms. We have an ability to set a regional agenda that goes beyond jurisdictional lines. I think that this is maybe getting back to one of those luxuries that we have as a nonprofit organization, that we aren't regulators, and we also aren't municipal service delivery providers. So in a major way, we have not had to be reactionary to those kinds of political pressures the way cities and counties have been subjected to.
My name is Sam Hughes. I'm President and CEO of Economic Resources Corporation, located here in Southern California. The organization, founded in 1968, was established to promote economic growth in underserved communities. And we do that principally by investing and or developing in commercial real estate property, supporting business development, and ultimately looking to bring about employment opportunities for those seeking the same. ERC historically has not so much partnered with local government as we've partnered with the federal government at large. And so we have partnerships with the Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration, and we've had partnership with other offices within the federal government. Most recently, we partnered with EDA to establish a revolving loan fund. And that loan fund, in large part, is to assist businesses that are in need of accessing working capital to keep their doors open and to thrive sort of in this current COVID environment, but also beyond. So our partnerships really extend to the federal government, and we're looking to develop local partnerships in an attempt to engage local government so that they know that we're helping them meet the needs of the business community. And to the extent ERC is a business, we're a tax-exempt organization, but we too have business concerns where we can lend our voice to any advisory committee, if you will, that a local government might establish. And so we're here to listen, but certainly to provide some guidance based on the historical experience that the organization has had. What we're looking to do here at Economic Resources Corporation is make loans available to businesses that want to stay open. They're sustainable businesses. They need a bit of a leg up to weather this storm. And to the extent that Economic Resources Corporation can provide that money without requiring that they hire someone or that they have to retain the staff that they have, but rather stay open, continue to offer the goods and services to the communities, that's what we're focused on. And so that certainly bodes well for the businesses, certainly experiencing this huge economic setback that many across the world are going through. ERC, or Economic Resources Corporation, having been in the space of economic development for a number of years, and certainly my tenure with a couple of cities here in the past, I think one of the needs that businesses have is for mentorship programs. It sounds like a stretch, but I find that when a business or an entrepreneur finds someone they can connect with, they're more apt to be engaged, to listen, to be attentive, and ultimately build their enterprise.